the way in which Ron DeSantis is standing on what it is that he's going to be running on is basically defending conservative principles and destroying woke leftist culture. Make sure y'all get a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on y'all notifications. We going to get into the show. Next is Dr. Umar Johnson. Let's rock out, ladies and gentlemen. Reading super chats throughout the show.
His opponent, his chief opponent, Ron DeSantis, is kind of kicking off his tour, the Florida governor now, calling the Great American Comeback Tour. He'll start today in Iowa. In an interview yesterday on Fox, DeSantis was asked for the rationale for his campaign. Why is he running? Why should people look at him, take a vote for him over Donald Trump? Here's what he said.
Why is right now the time for Ron DeSantis to run for president?
Because everyone knows if I'm the nominee, I will beat Biden.
Well, hold on. Let me back up. It's somebody that says you don't have to go to college in order to learn how to code. Azrael says you don't have to go to college in order to learn how to code. Let me just address this really quickly. That is true. The difference is, how high do you want your ceiling to be? Okay? The problem with us, and the problem even with black people and black culture, is we always trying to hurry up and get in the door. You can teach yourself how to code, which is one of the reasons why I told you to immerse yourself and put your 10,000 hours in. The other side of it is, do you just want to be a person that get in the door and learn how to code? Do you want it to be as difficult to get into other companies and the barrier to entry to be that much higher? Also, once you get in, do you actually want to progress? Do you actually want to become a director? Do you want to become a vice president? Do you want to become a senior vice president? Right? Do you actually want to progress in corporate America to where you can really, really bust down those bags? And so the reason why I tell people to go to school is because it gives you more access and it gives you more options. It's not about learning how to code. Learning how to code is easy. That's not the problem. The problem is, where are the bags at? And so I don't want you to put a cap on your ceiling by just getting your foot in the door. It's not enough to just be an IT worker or a software engineer. You actually want to get a bag. And in order for you to really be able to beat those barriers to entry, right, when you start to apply for those other positions, or when you're in a position and you network yourself over into the top, human resources is going to require certain paperwork in order for you to get your foot in the door. You don't want to put yourself in a position to where you have to then retroactively try to catch up instead of put yourself in a position to actually be able to get those positions in the first place. So that's the reason why I tell y'all to go to school. It's not about just learning how to code. It's not about just getting money. It's about busting down bags. So everything you do, you're looking at it from a 10-year perspective. You're not looking at it based off of where you're at today. You're looking at it based off of where you're trying to go and what you're projecting yourself to be long term. Okay? So y'all got to unlock your mind and stop thinking short term and start thinking long term of what you want your future to be, because 10 years go by like that. And if you're in the same position that you was and got the same dreams and the same goals today as you do 10 years from now, then I failed you. All right, let's get into it. Let me rewind this a little bit, because, you know, when I interact with my chat, and that's one of the reasons why I love the Millionaire Morning Show. Let me rewind this just a little bit, all right?
Asked for the rationale for his campaign. Why is he running? Why should people look at him, take a vote for him over Donald Trump? Here's what he said.
Why is right now the time for Ron DeSantis to run for president?
Because everyone knows if I'm the nominee, I will beat Biden and I will serve 2 terms, and I will be able to destroy leftism in this country and leave woke ideology on the dustbin of history.
So there it is.
He said, I will destroy woke left ideology. His goal is to completely destroy woke left ideologies. For me, that is music to my ears. For me, that is music to my ears. I love it. Absolutely love it, because now we're talking about principalities. Now we're talking about agendas, and he's actually had a track record for it. Now, I'm not saying that he completely got my vote, because I want to see the debates. I want to be able to hear other people's perspectives. I want to hear Trump's perspective. I want to hear everybody, right? So I'm going to make an informed decision. But the fact that he wants to destroy left woke culture is phenomenal to me, because I think that we've been pushed too far down the left all the way to the point to where they're trying to determine what it is that our kids are learning in school. Let's continue.
In a nutshell, Joe, he says he can beat Joe Biden, suggesting that Donald Trump can't. He'll serve 2 terms. Donald Trump can. He's already served 1. And then just on the issues, on the shining city on a hill, the morning in America, it is defeat woke ideology.
I mean, Gene Robinson, we were so far from Ronald Reagan. That America is a city shining brightly on the hill for all the world to see. Yeah. You know, the last great and a serious point here too, because actually, let me play you this clip, because this is when I just started thinking. You know, we used to have a football coach that would say, "You boys are majoring in minors."
Reading super chat shortly.
Focus on the big things. This is what Ron DeSantis is doing. He's majoring on the minors, on things that may get a small sliver of the population, but it's not like Reagan. Reagan would say things that maybe 50% of Americans agreed with, but he'd say it in a way that 90% of Americans would go, yeah, this guy's onto something. Reagan was always trying to reach out. It's maybe why he won 49 states and why Republicans under Donald Trump keep losing election. But Ron DeSantis, for some weird reason, I don't get it, seems to be following that path. And moments later in that interview, he was asked whether he could win Iowa. This is what he had to say.
We obviously have a lot in common with Iowa in terms of what Florida's done and what they've done under Governor Kim Reynolds. And I think the groundswell of support has been really, really strong. And, you know, we're going to press the case. I mean, you know, they had mentioned there may be some differences with me and Donald Trump. And I think that those differences redound to my benefit in a place like Iowa. I mean, for example, you know, he's taken the side of Disney in our fight down here in Florida. I'm standing for parents. I'm standing for children. And I think a multi-billion-dollar company that sexualizes children is not consistent with the values of Florida or the values of a place like Iowa.
Disney sexual. Ron DeSantis decides that.
Now, instead of obviously these pundits operating in truth, they want to still posture, because again, one of the things that I like to do, and I've been criticized for using a lot of Fox News clips in order to react to a lot of the different things that's being said within the national media. But the reality is that I like to use different clips from different platforms, including CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. This so happens to be MSNBC, MSNBC Morning Joe. And they're saying that Disney doesn't do this, but when you actually go into and see a lot of these movies specifically geared towards younger people, what exactly are they trying to do? If you've watched any of the you can go and watch the latest Thor, and there's so much of an agenda inside of these movies that's being put in the movie. It's funny because I was talking to somebody over in LA over the weekend, and they said that, yo, my friend got a movie that they shooting, and they actually pretty right. You know, they're pretty conservative. And they said, but one of the requirements, I didn't say it, my friend actually said it, but she said one of the requirements for him to even be able to film a movie or get funding from his movie from Hollywood was that he had to have a certain gender of people that starts with a T, or a certain amount of these people in his movie in order for him to get funding. Let me say that one more time. In order for this man who considers himself to be way right to get funding to shoot a movie that has nothing to do with political affiliations or which side of the aisle you're on, one of the requirements that he confided in her that they were requiring for him to have was for him to put somebody from the alphabet community, specifically that starts with a T, multiple different people inside of his movie. Now, whether you guys were able to recognize whether those people were in the movie based off of the different scenes or whatever, so on and so forth, that's a completely different conversation. But when we talk about agendas, they're real. They're there. You know why? Because we're human. And when we're human, that means that we're biased. Every last person that's watching this live stream right now, including myself, we're biased. We're biased with regard to our experiences and how it is that we project them onto other people. Now, whether we're right or wrong that could be debated. And one of the beautiful things that used to be a part of this country was that we had the freedom to say what we really thought without the repercussions that come along with it negatively, as long as we didn't actually inflict anything against somebody physically. But that is gone now, and that is what we now define as a part of woke left culture, pushing an agenda on somebody that they don't want and then punishing them when they speak up about it. But let's continue. Let's see what they got to say.
That he's going to launch his campaign by talking about how the Magic Kingdom sexualizes children. This is something that, again, we've all grown up with Disney. You and I, Gene, when we were young, would see the Wonderful World of Disney every Sunday night. It's continued through. And
I'll be reading Super Chat shortly. I see y'all.
And, you know, it's not like things got crazy. My kids growing up, you know, I've seen The Lion King like 87 times. Like, and
not in The Lion King. It's not in The Lion King. This is a disingenuous argument. It's not in The Lion King. But it's in all of your most recent Marvel movies. I haven't seen The Little Mermaid, but who knows? It might be in that too.
And The Little Mermaid and all of these other shows, it hasn't radically changed or shifted. What's happened is, for some reason, this has become this weird sort of cottage industry deal. And I guess maybe people get ratings doing this. Maybe they make money. Maybe people listen to their podcast by bashing Disney. But I can tell you, as somebody that knows a little bit about Florida, this doesn't even sell in Florida. I mean, Disney is loved, but this
Joe, he got married there.
He got married there.
It's a happy place.
Do you see this? And when you don't take a position while also seeing this stuff play out on a regular basis, look. What is that chick's name that was just in a Disney movie? Margaret Cho? Was that her name? Margaret Cho? She was the Asian lady that played a gay character inside of a Disney movie. She said that she's advocating for and would love to see Disney put more T people inside of these alphabet community movies. Are they posturing, and this is the question that I have to ask you guys, honestly, because as a person that considers myself conservative, I'm not way right. I'm not an extreme conservative, meaning that there's things that I don't even agree with that people that call themselves Republicans or conservatives say. There's plenty that I disagree with, right? But if you so woke and you're so liberal to where you can't actually be honest about what it is that's happening in society, and you can't call it out for exactly what it is, that's a problem. That is a problem. If we're going to sit here and ignore the idea that this is exactly what Disney is doing, and every other major Hollywood studio also, because if it wasn't, then they wouldn't have any objection to what Ron DeSantis is actually trying to limit their ability to put inside of their schools and implement within their district. Why is it such an issue? Why are they fighting so feverishly for it? That has nothing to do with entertainment, but it absolutely is something that they're trying to implement, and I can't understand why. Why are they willing to spend money on it? Why is it such a issue? Why do we need additional representation inside of these movies outside of what the influence of or the impact of what it would have on the people that watch it? Why are we so desensitized? Have y'all realized that? Have you thought about the idea that all of the violent movies that we've seen throughout our history and our lives affect how it is that we see society? It was nothing for most of those people to see that woman was walking down the street naked with no clothes on, because that's just normal. You know why? Because they've seen it on social media, even if they haven't seen it in real life. They haven't limited what it is that they're taking in their eyes, so it's not nothing out of the norm. Have y'all noticed that? It's nothing for them to say Black Twitter will cancel you, even to the point to where we've become keenly aware of what we can and can't say on these platforms. Nothing for them to say that. Do you know how many people, and I'm going to actually put the link to this hoodie in all of the videos that I wore it in, hopefully by the end of the day for y'all to actually be able to buy this. Do you know how many people actually see me wear this hoodie and they say, it was a guy in the airport, he was flying in from Nashville, and we was coming in from Los Angeles, and it was about 5-6 p.m. in the afternoon on a Sunday, and he said, "You're right." And I was like, "Oh, you right about what?" He said, "Your shirt." He said, "You're right, but it's not a popular take." That's what he said to me. He said, "You're right, but it's not a popular take." It's so many people that go out of their way to compliment me on what it is that this shirt says or this hoodie says, because they understand what's happening in society and how people are trying to condition you to look at things a certain type of way. Reading Super Chat shortly.
The happiest place on earth, I think, is what all those quarterbacks from Super Bowl say. It just, again, Gene, my bigger point is this. They emphasize these really small things that gin up a small part of the base, instead of being like Reagan, looking over the horizon and saying, how do I unite Americans, and in the process win 49 states?
Yeah, it is incredible. I mean, Joe, you and I, we both spent a lot of time in Iowa. We both know that, you're walking down the street and you ask voters, what's on your mind? What are you thinking? Republican voters, and they say, that Disney. I hate Disney. I wish somebody would go after Disney. I mean, it's just ridiculous. No. It's ridiculous. This is the centerpiece of, I can't believe that he mentions that as part of his argument why he should be the Republican.
Because it's meaningful. And this is how disconnected, broken, and disingenuous the people of yesteryear have made us. Because it's meaningful. It's meaningful to me. It's not something that we should just gloss over. It's meaningful because my daughter have to use the same bathrooms as the people that then say that they identify as something specifically. Right? We had a person that almost tried to identify as something differently in order to compete with my 15-year-old daughter in a taekwondo kind of tournament that she wound up winning over the last weekend, and she won gold. It's meaningful. If I would have seen a boy join into, regardless of whether or not I thought my daughter can beat him or not, if I would have seen a biological male join into the competition in which my daughter is competing in, that would have been an issue. I would have pulled her out. I would have never. Now, my daughter is fierce, so she like, yo, I know I can beat this person. But I ain't stupid. That's why she got a father. That's why she got a father. I would have pulled my daughter out immediately. Immediately. And that is an issue. It's an issue. It's an issue when my daughter can't go to the public bathroom and not see a dude, depending on where it is that you are in America, say, I identify as this, and then pull his cock out. That's an issue. It's an issue when we have to pick and choose which schools our kids can go to because they're teaching an agenda, and then these colleges become indoctrination camps. That's an issue. It's an issue even beyond the alphabet community when we talk about the over-sexualization and also feminist culture, which is also woke culture. Because when you talk about sexual liberation, you're talking about something that completely goes against the traditional values. Why is this such an issue? Because some people will then say, well, teach your kids to do better. You can, but their experiences also help mold how they see the world. So when they're at school for 8 hours a day, you can't sit here and tell me that they're not being impressed upon based off of the environment that you subject them to. And so it's meaningful to us. It's meaningful to us that we start to right our wrongs and we stop going down this hell and fury path that ultimately is going to continue to destroy our woke culture. Is the very thing that destroyed households and families and enabled people and feminism to continue to go in its multiple different ways that absolutely positively ruined the fabric of society and American culture itself. But listen to them talk.
Republican nominee, let alone President of the United States. Again, I don't. This is Ahab-like. This pursuit of Disney. It can't be a really winning issue for him, I think. But all he's got apparently is I'm against woke ideology, and that's gonna touch a chord among the base, among the hardcore base. But boy, that is a tough sell if you want to be president of the United States.
Well, obviously, I completely disagree with him. I cannot disagree with him any more than I already do disagree with him. I think that we need to get these geezers out of office because they're one of the very reasons why we're in this position in the first place. And I absolutely love DeSantis. I know a lot of people have their criticism of him, but I don't see anything that he's done wrong. I think that he absolutely run Florida better than any state during the pandemic.